Okay.
Mr. Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. Mr. Chairman, I call the very first case, but prior to that, there are some preliminary matters.
Before you do that, can I just have a moment? I wanted to indicate on the record that this morning I was sworn in for a renewal of my term as a commissioner, as was alternate Commissioner Harvey Jones. And in meeting in session this morning, just to formalize this, the commissioners have reelected me as chair of the commission for the foreseeable future. So I thank them for that and their confidence in me, and we're going to move forward. So I'm sorry, Mr. Page, I just wanted to make that a part of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 11 a.m. docket, number 3, on the 11 a.m. docket, 301 South Macon Street. That case has been postponed, and all interested parties will be notified as to the new date and time. Also, on the 11 o'clock docket, 45 North Crescent Street. That matter has been postponed. And again, all interested parties will be notified as to the new date and time. I call the very first case, Stephen Demby and Alice March, Demco Inc., trading as Naughty Pine Inn, 801 South Conkling Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership, and a request for outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Okay. Will you identify yourself for the record, please, counsel?
Certainly, thank you, Judge. Sean Harvey, 309 South Conkling Street, Baltimore 21224 for the applicants.
Good morning, Mr. Harvey. And madam and sir, if you will speak into the mic and give us your names, and if the gentleman to my left needs you to spell it, if you'd spell it for him, please.
My name is Stephen Demby. Stephen with a PH.
And ma'am?
My name is Alice March.
Okay, and would you each raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few things. First of all, when I filed the application, I did not have a copy of the asset purchase agreement. This was required. I have that now. I'd like to offer that.
Give it to Ms. Russell, please, and she'll mark it, and it'll become part of the record.
Okay, thank you. Do you have the original application? Thank you. Mr. Demby, Ms. March, if you mind just briefly looking through this original application for the transfer of the license. And
So who's transferring the license?
well, the license is being transferred from Ms. March's corporation to Mr. Demby's. However, Ms. March is remaining on the license as a 5% shareholder of the new corporation.
And what is her corporation?
Her corporation is called Marmac Inc.,
Okay,
and Mr. Demby's is Demco Inc.
okay.
They both signed this application as applicants.
And when the corporate entity held the license, were there any violations?
I don't believe there have been any violations in the 17 years that she's been operating this business.
Good.
Started with her husband, Mr. Frederick March, and he passed away a few years ago, and Miss March has been handling the business ever since.
Okay.
Would you just please look this over quickly and verify that those are your signatures? Okay, and is all the information that's contained in this application substantially correct as of today?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to
Let's see
hand
the
this back.
application. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do you want that question answered as to violations in the past?
If you have it, yes.
Yes, according to our license detail system, on May the 12th, 2005, there was a public hearing in reference to violation of Rule 4.15. They were found guilty, $200 or 2 days suspension,
And that's it?
2005.
Okay, it was a long time
It
ago.
was a gambling violation.
Okay.
Also,
go ahead.
I'd like to offer some other exhibits. Three of these. Mr. Demby reached out to the Brewers Hill Community Association about this transfer, and He had a meeting with
They're
them.
providing music background.
Kind of like it.
It's a sample of what's going to be in the restaurant.
They met on July 12th, and they approved this transfer. This is the local community association.
Could you give that to Ms. Russell as well, please, and she'll mark it, and it'll become part of the record.
Okay, thank you. Also, I'd like to admit Mr. Demby has been certified in food preparation. This is a tavern and restaurant by Safe Serve certification. I'd like to offer this as
To
well.
Ms. Russell as well.
Exhibit number 3.
Thank you. Mr. Demby has also has completed its alcohol awareness training. I have a letter here from HT Connect, which states that he successfully completed that course in training. And it also states that a copy of the certification was forwarded to the board. I don't know if you have that, but I can offer the letter.
Mr. Harvey, can you please speak into the microphone
Okay,
when you
sure.
talk? Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Did you-
Gentleman back there is having a hard time picking up your
Yeah.
voice.
Everything's
We
being
want to make you, we want to make you a
recorded in-
star.
That's
so-
fine, that's fine, okay. All right, now, if I may, proffer, I did see online this morning that there's a synopsis of this application. There is one misnomer in it, but in any event, Mr. Demby and his corporation is purchasing this business for $190,000. He placed $10,000 down, which wasn't mentioned in the synopsis already, as a deposit on this purchase. $135,000 in cash will be paid at settlement, and then there will be a note held by the seller for $45,000. That'll be paid over 2 years at 9%. Those payments will be $2,055.81 per month for 2 years. Now, Mr. Demby will also be entering into a lease. The owner of the business premises is Norino Properties, LLC. They've already been in discussions concerning the lease. One hasn't been signed yet, but the owner of the premises did sign the application and approval of this, and this lease will be completed, obviously, before the license is transferred. That will be for 5 years at $2,000 per month. It'll be a triple net lease. There'll be a 3% annual increase. Mr. Demby, do you have any experience in the service of alcoholic beverages?
Yes, I do.
And could you tell the commission what that experience entails?
Well, I have experience. I've waited tables for several years, and then after waiting tables, I've started bartending. I've worked in a couple of different restaurants, like a couple of different bars, like Green Turtle, and Duclaw, and Arundel Mills. Bartending there, a couple of nights a week. So I have about 5 years' experience in bartending.
Okay. Now, do you intend to be the full-time operator of this business?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And how much time per week do you intend to devote to this business?
Well, I will be there 7 days a week, so at least 60 hours a week.
Okay. And where do you intend to reside?
I plan to reside above the bar.
Okay. All right.
Is that
Now,
part of the lease as well?
Yes, it is.
do you intend to hire any employees?
Yes, I think about between 5 to 10 employees.
Okay. And you understand that if you have employees under Maryland law, you have to maintain workers' compensation insurance. Is
Yes,
that right?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Now, you've already met with the community association. Was there any discussion about the type of business you intend to run at the Knotty Pine?
Yes, they just wanted to know what my plans were for the business, and I told them that I was planning to keep things mostly the same. Alice has ran the business for 17 years, and I say if that's a lot of times in this, especially in this business, that's really good. So why make a lot of changes? They asked me about will I be open to continue to have community meetings there. Sometimes they have community meetings there, and I told them that I would definitely be open for that. And the only changes I plan to make are a few years down the road, maybe making some changes to the menu and possibly doing some renovations to the building.
Okay, now, I have in front of me here the current menu for the Naughty Pine. Is this substantially what you're going to be serving when you take over this business?
Yes.
I'd like to offer this for filing as well.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. March, you're a 5% shareholder in Demco Corporation, is that correct?
Yes,
And you're also the 100% shareholder in Marmac Inc., which currently has the license, is that correct?
correct.
So you intend to remain involved with this business, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And how much time do you intend to devote to the business?
Probably part-time, 20, 25
Okay.
hours.
All right, you're a 5% shareholder. Mr. Denby is a 95% shareholder, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right,
Well, have you had a prior business relationship, the two of you?
No,
No. So he approached you about taking over the business? Is
that's
that
correct.
okay? And are you going to be overseeing it for a little while?
I'm going to help transition until he gets his bearings, yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Denby, you've done a lot of bartending. And have you ever done any management of a place like this?
Not of a bar, but I have management for my day job. I've been a project manager for many years.
When you were doing the bartending, were you involved with the purchase of the alcohol and that sort of thing, and aware of who the wholesalers are and the requirements for where you can purchase it?
I was not, but I have gone over that with Alice. She's told me the different distributors that I have to purchase from.
Okay. And are you going to have something in place to make sure that there's proper identification and age requirements for people purchasing alcohol?
Yes, I will.
And what is the plan for that?
Having something typically right behind the bar, you have a sign saying that you must be 21 years of age.
And you'll be checking IDs?
I'll have bartenders that will be checking IDs.
Do the commissioners have questions for Mr. Denby or Ms. March?
You mentioned that from your day job, you have some experience. What is your day job?
I manage a software development company. It's called Excella, and we build apps for your phone. And
Did you build that thing where the people are all over the city looking for little gremlins or something? You didn't do that.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
I wish I did. But
Yeah. So, but that's the idea. You
yes,
build
we
apps.
build apps.
Okay. How old are you?
35.
35. Okay. So one of the things that I've seen since I've been serving on this board is people get in trouble because they assume folks are a certain age and that they're old enough to drink, and then it turns out they're not. And so it would be really important to educate your bartenders when to ask for IDs. And I think the rule is like always, because if you're going to, if you ask for ID of someone who's well over the age, they're going to be flattered.
Right.
They won't be insulted. So that's where people get in trouble, from what I've seen. Also, the alcohol management, and when to order and how to order, and not taking shortcuts and buying things wholesale. I guess the only question that I had is that it looks like there's a request for outdoor table service. Is that going forward or no?
that's already been approved. I mean, Ms. March has, actually got that in 2011. And so what Mr. Denby is doing is purchasing the license as is, which has written right on it that
Okay.
it's,
Is there outdoor table service now?
Yes.
So that's been approved and it's in effect?
yes.
Okay, all right. All right, so it's not a new request.
No,
Then
no.
that ends all my questions.
That's the other misnomer that was in the syllabus.
Okay, all right.
Great. No, this is, I appreciate your testimony, Mr. Denby. I would also, piggybacking on what Commissioner Moore said, I would also encourage your bartenders to do alcohol awareness certifications. And just talk to me a little bit about, obviously you have a good operator who's operated the establishment very well, but with respect to outdoor seating, one of the things we often see is communities upset because there's trash or there's loud noise. Talk to me a little bit, or people just sitting there who aren't ordering. Talk to me a little bit about how you intend to address those proactively.
Well, the first thing is we have to, after 11 p.m., you can no longer sit outside. So going by that rule of making sure that the outdoor service is over at 11. Secondly, it's just by happenstance that right across the street is a business. So the business is not open in the evening. So the closest person to us is not there. I mean, it's a business. So I think those two things will help. But I'll be there. So I can make sure once we close that I'll go outside and check to make sure there's nothing around, no bottles left out there or anything like that.
Great, thank you.
Anything further?
The only other comment goes to the attorney. The notarial seal didn't pick up on the copies. Yeah, so it's so faint. Yeah, you use the press seal if you have a I'm not giving you advice, but you're also not listed as a notary on the public listing of notary public.
Well, that I have no control
Yeah, you don't.
over, I assure
But
you
you can imagine the combination of the two, of there not being any evidence seal. And
Well, I'll check in.
but you might. I'm just suggesting you might for stuff like this that gets copied over and over. You know it's going to be copied. You might want to use the stamp.
I do have the certificate at.
Yeah. Well, just
I didn't expect to
just a
bring it.
cautionary note, just an observation. So that's it.
Okay, well, based on the long experience that Ms. March has had and her family with operating this Knotty Pine Inn very well and being successful, and I'm hope it continues to be successful. Based on the testimony that she's provided, Mr. Denby has provided, the proffers from counsel, the arrangements that have been made with the community to cooperate with them going forward, and what you've told us about your plans for the operation of the place once the license is transferred, I would vote to approve it.
And I would join. I think that you have you waited long enough for the right person to come along, and I think you found a very good person in Mr. Denby. He seems very well prepared to step in and serve as the owner and operator. The thought and care that's gone into the transition is laudable. I think great expectations will be achieved.
Yes.
And so I support the approval.
And I concur with my colleagues as well. And again, I would also underscore, thank you for working with the community, and certainly encourage them to continue having meetings in your establishment. I think that open line of communication and that dialogue is critical. So good luck.
Good luck with you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good luck.
Andrew Lazinski and Tyler Stenick, Listy Inc., trading as Shipyard Cafe, 3500 O'Donnell Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward and raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Yes.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicants. This is an application to transfer an existing BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. This license has been at this location, I think, since Prohibition. It's a neighborhood, and maybe before Prohibition, but I don't have any evidence on that. It's a neighborhood area right outside of Canton Square. The two individuals, as you'll hear from, they've worked numerous places over the last 5 or 6 years. They're going to be hands-on operators, no change in the application or any information. They're going to have a small menu there. They're going to be open from 10 a.m. till 2 a.m. They plan on having probably somewhere up to maybe 5 employees as needed. Each one of them will be on the premises at all times. And they also, they've taken the alcohol awareness course, and they also have self-serve for the food operation. I have those exhibits here. There'll be no outdoor table service. We don't have to worry about that. There's no live entertainment, and in fact, I looked on the. So I remember Rob represented this place for a long time. I think it was a little amusing because I don't see this anymore, where it says no go-go girls. I haven't seen a go-go girl, except the ones when they run out the door, for a long time, or live entertainment. And I know Franklin John Hartman, he's barred permanently because he's dead. So, he's not going to be coming back. But you don't see that on licenses anymore where people put people's names on there. If I can, I'll have the individuals testify as to their experience and what they've done with the neighborhood, if I may.
Hey, mate, did you have exhibits you wanted Ms.
I'll
Russell to
do it
mark?
through them when we
Okay.
talk.
That's fine.
All right, you want to give your name and address, right, please?
Andrew Lisinski, 3113 O'Donnell Street.
All right, and the evidence, the testimony I've given, is that true and correct?
Yes.
And you've met with people in the neighborhood, and tell the board who you met with and what you did.
Specifically, a couple people that stand out just in communicating through email. Donna Glahello, she is backs up to the Lear's property, as well as Jen Polito Wiegand. She lives on the opposite corner, just on that same side of the street. Back in March, I believe, when we first began the process of acquiring this business and really checking it out, I met with about a dozen or so community members. I'm actually a member of that community. Some of them I know from passing. Judging by my address, I live 4 blocks down. But that particular community, section of the community on Baylor Street, is very close-knit, and they are, they have their own little kind of organization. They're pretty tightly bound there. So I met with all them.
And you would agree, and you told them you agree to have community meetings there and community cleanups and if necessary in the neighborhood. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've spoken with them, and we informed them that if there's any issues or any problems with any kind of trash, that to please call us, and we will be there immediately or send someone to make sure it's cleaned up.
And you took the alcohol awareness course, but you don't have your certificate. I only have Kyler's. Is that
Correct. I think my name might have been misspelled. Mr. Murray was our trainer, and that's who we'll also be using for any employees that come into our establishment.
He's probably not familiar with Polish names. I understand that.
Probably not. He used a Y and some Z's.
That's the other side of town. Along with that, tell the board a little bit about your experience.
I've worked at a country club for a number of years back in Long Island. I don't believe I put that on there. But from there in college, I worked for my brother at a bar for approximately 2 or 3 years. He's a license holder in Baltimore City at Southern Provisions. In addition to that, I worked for Brian Acquavello at Blue Agave for the past 4.5 years. And I have some management experience there, helping them with beer, liquor ordering, things like that, just managing day-to-day operations of the bar, assisting them with certain accounting things nightly, as I'm one of the people that closes the bar 2 or 3 nights a week, sometimes a little bit more if they need an extra hand for a couple hours here and there.
You heard the board in the previous case, so you're familiar with checking people for cards, also ordering. You understand you got to order from wholesalers, from the Beverage Journal, and
Correct.
you're familiar with doing all that. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions to this witness. If the board has any, or I'll put the other witness on.
Let's hear from the other witness.
You want to step up, give your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Tyler Stanek. I live at 127 North Curly Street in Baltimore.
All right, so you're in that same Hollandtown area, is that correct?
Same neighborhood.
And then along with that, you've heard the testimony that was given by Andrew. Is that true and correct?
Correct.
And you're going to be there, either he or you will be on the premises at all time?
Correct.
And you took the alcohol awareness course, and also you were certified for self-serve for the food operation. At this point, I'll submit these.
Give them to Ms. Russell, please. She'll mark them.
And along with that, maybe you can explain a little bit of your experience in the alcoholic beverage business.
Well, I've been in bartending in the Baltimore area for about 5 years now. I started alongside Andrew at Blue Agave. I worked there for about 2.5 years. I also worked shortly for Tin Roof in Power Plant. And then I worked at Bandito's Kitchen in Federal Hill for about 5 years. As far as management goes, I don't have much of that, but I have been a closing bartender, and I'm familiar with, the ID process is basically the #1 rule of bartending as far as that goes, and just closing the restaurants, making sure everything's clean. I've been involved with neighbors and just sort of an active part of all that.
I have nothing further with these witnesses.
And the community has not voiced any opposition at this point?
Now, they're excited.
Okay. Questions from commissioners?
I have one if I could.
Go ahead.
This establishment's been closed for a little bit, right? has it been, it's been closed before you're taking it over?
No, it was open. They're cleaning and fixing it up because I
Right.
think one of your exhibits, you showed them they were open when they took the picture
Right, but so,
recently.
Right.
Because they're getting all their.
right, so it's
inspections.
not open currently, is my question.
But Mr. Lear is currently still.
Oh, it's still operating,
I mean,
okay.
he's in poor health. Him and his wife have recently moved, so they've been kind of.
Okay, a little bit, okay.
Yeah.
Are you planning any improvements to the, planning any improvements to the interior or exterior?
Yes, the interior, we have, in order to pass the health inspection, Mr. Lear was not interested in putting any additional money into the building, which we have purchased from him.
Right.
So we've fixed up the bathrooms quite a bit. It started with one tile, which ended up with gutting both bathrooms down to the bare floor. That was a lot of fun. And then recently just upgraded some things inside. Just have a friend that does restaurant equipment, just fixed a couple things in there. We knew we were going into with the risk that potentially this would never happen. So, that was a big risk for us at first, putting that money into some place that we didn't own yet.
Sure.
But we plan to redo the bar top, redo the floor, just rearrange things inside overall, clean it up a little bit. And the outside of the building, that's our investment. I mean, we both own the building. So I think we plan to do a little something with the facade of the building, get rid of that old school form stone that's kind of fallen apart, and just making sure that the overall appearance of everything is going to clean up. We've spoken with the neighbors too. We plan on getting a permit to build a pad for our dumpster, kind of block it into some sort of like shed-looking thing. It looks nice, maybe even brick, who knows? Just so that way it's not sitting out on the street. And that's just another way to help us to make sure that any refuse is not protruding, onto other people's property.
You're not going to get rid of Natty Bo, are you?
What's that?
You're not going to get rid of Natty Bo.
No, it's Baltimore. I could pour a beer out of my shoe. It tastes the same. No offense.
You are not a
say that.
Baltimorean.
Let's not ask the question that you don't know the answer to.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's not bad. Okay?
So I think we need,
Margins aren't agreed on it. The margins aren't great.
Mr. Lozinski, I think we need to go back and take alcohol awareness.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Maybe because he did take alcohol awareness, he could testify to that.
I'm aware it doesn't taste very well.
I have nothing further.
I think
Anything-
the Utz lady is crying. I think there's.
We're a block from the Natty Bow Tower. Maybe we should clean up our act a little bit.
Yeah. You'll handle that. So, question: is the business open and operating now?
Yes. to my knowledge.
If someone went over there now, they could order a drink, be served.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm only asking because I thought I heard that there was, at some point it was closed, that lots of renovations. I just want to understand.
They're doing the renovations as they're going through the process. That's what we're
Okay,
trying-
and that's fine, but
Yeah.
we always have questions about the actual use of a license and whether it's in use in operation. So
Right.
there's been no interruption of this business. It's been in constant operation since at least March, when the building was posted that there was going to be a transfer.
Right.
Right?
As far as I know, I'm in
Yes.
contact with the employees, just checking on them day to day, just to make sure everything's, for them.
You're
is
still
okay.
selling Natty Boh. Things are happening.
Coldest beer in Canton, according
Yeah.
to the sign.
Okay. The criminal background checks have been done. There's no issue there.
Nothing, I know, usually Mr. Page is the.
That would have been
Eagle Eye on that. It's the name of a movie too, I think, Eagle Eye.
Eagle
I have an
Eye.
additional one from CGIS as well, if you guys need a copy of that.
Okay, so but the bottom line, that's been done. Who's going to actually be managing the cafe, the restaurant? Is it both of you, or you'll be co-managers? Mr. Stanek, what time will the bar close?
1:40. Well, technically 2 o'clock, but probably 1:45.
So you've anticipated my next question. What time is last serve?
Last call 1:30. No more drinks after 1:45. Everything's off the bar by 1:45.
Okay,
Take
so
chances.
you really are familiar with the closing process. All righty, thank you very much.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Nothing further.
Okay. Well, based on the evidence that you've presented here and the proffers made by your counsel, your testimony, your familiarity with the establishment, your ownership of the property, the fact that you've been engaged with the community in planning and made significant investment into this venture, I would vote to approve it.
I would as well.
I concur.
I approve.
So we wish you the best, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your information, National Premium's coming back.
Is it?
It should be available.
At
Alice
Lear's?
could have told you that. Alice will, yeah, in Baltimore City.
Yeah, well, let us know when you get that letter from Natty Bo.
I think that's why Natty Baker has an eye out for him.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Anna Cushing and Anthony Cushing, Cat's Eye Ltd., trading as Cat's Eye Pub, 1730 Thames Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request to add live entertainment. Please come forward.
Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
Morning.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Swear the witnesses.
You want to identify yourself for the
Oh, I'm
record,
sorry, yes,
counsel?
Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the licensees.
Good morning, and if you will each raise your right hands and speak into the microphone.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
And you are Anna Cushing?
Anna
And are you
Corinne
Anthony Cushing?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you very
Fogelman.
much, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on your reappointment.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I think. So, this morning I'm got a great client here. Cat's Eye Pub, well known and beloved in Fells Point, has been open since the 1970s.
75.
Yep, and owned continuously since that time by the Cushings. Mr. and Mrs. Cushing owned the bar together until her husband passed away in 2008. And in fact, I think that's the only violation they ever had was during my tenure here. They sold to a cadet literally 4 days before her husband had died, and things were not good at that time. But outside of that, an exemplary licensee. In fact, actor Jim Belushi just stopped by the bar on Saturday, July 30th, and gave an impromptu performance. And there's an article in the Sun about that. I'm
Read about
attaching
that.
Yeah. Did you read about that?
I sure did,
And
yeah.
2 weekends.
Bertha's as well. Bertha's as well. Yeah. All right. So I want to give you that
If
article.
you'll give it to Ms. Russell, please.
Actually, I only have 3 copies today. So what I'd like
Sorry.
to do is maybe
I don't need a copy.
you don't need a copy. Okay, but there's also letters of.
If you just give them, she'll mark them, and they'll be part of the record.
And if anybody wants a courtesy
Sure,
copy.
thank you very much.
And
I'd like to
thank
read
you.
about
I
your
have an-
celebrities.
Here.
And I was.
Sure.
One at a time, please. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys be quiet until I talk. All right, anybody else want a courtesy copy? Sure. Letters of recommendation. And unfortunately, I was out of town, and my client brought a single copy of a petition in support of the request with 673
Can you give that to Ms. Russell?
signatures thereon. I'll give that to Ms. Russell. Additionally, I have an exhibit, a single one, a color copy of a Best of Baltimore issue for August 2016, indicating that the Cat's Eye Pub is the best place for hip bumping in Baltimore. And it says enough said, so I think that's enough said too.
Give that.
Thank you. And I believe I filed with the liquor application the certificate of occupancy showing that the tavern is used for live entertainment since 19975, which means 1975. So I believe I submitted that with my application, so I won't submit that. But indeed, they have been licensed with zoning or zoned to have live entertainment since 75. And finally, I have one copy of you don't see a lot of these, a crowd management training certificate for co-applicant Tony Cushing. And again, this bar has been doing live entertainment since 75. They know how to handle crowds and all the other attendant problems. So I want to go ahead and
So if
again,
they've been having live entertainment since '75, why is this the first? Is this the first request for a license?
it is. Well, what happened is this, and some people will see it one way, I will see it another. No liquor board inspector had ever come in and said, hey, you don't have live entertainment permission from the board. And the truth of the matter is that in all walks of life, law enforcement agencies, every kind of agency, you operate sometimes by triage. And if a place doesn't get complaints, and if a place is a good operator, just like Waltz Inn was, it might slip through the cracks in this city. And that's
They thought they were zoned for it, but they didn't know they had to have a liquor board
And an
license.
inspector was kind enough to come in and say, you need to get your liquor board permission for this, and that's going to cost them extra money with the liquor board every year, and they understand that, and they're happy to pay that. They just didn't know they needed 2 sets of permission to do this.
So the diagram that is part of the application, which shows the stage and the rest of the layout, that's not changed in years?
Not in years.
Okay. And in terms of the kinds of entertainment you're going to have, that's not going to change going forward?
No, it's eclectic. We have Irish, we have blues, we have jazz, we have Zydeco rarely, but yeah, we mix it up, and we have live music 10 times a week.
And this is your son to your right?
Yes, it is.
How old are you, sir?
32.
Okay. And you've been involved with the business, I guess, most of your life?
Yes. Picture me as a baby buying a bar.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
Well, where's John Belushi today? I mean, he would have been a great witness for you.
Well, he did say, thank you, Anna Marie and Tony, and he said the cat's eye is the heart of Baltimore.
Aw.
And he loved to sing Sweet Home Chicago, because that's where he was born. But the last time he sang it on his second visit, he said Sweet Home Baltimore. And the whole
Awesome.
crowd went crazy.
Of course, of course.
He went back to work on a Woody Allen film.
Maybe get Michael Phelps to come down. When he comes
Well, he's
back.
been there. He's
Good friend of mine, actually. He comes in a lot when he's in town. So
they're close in age, I guess.
That's wonderful.
It's where the stars come.
Apparently.
Apparently.
Maya Angelou was my favorite.
Oh, she was
Theo
actually.
Wild and Jason Sudeikis came by about 2 months ago.
Excuse me, I can't follow the hearing if we're all going to talk.
Yeah, we forgot that we're on the record. We're having a conversation about an apparently wonderful place, and we're forgetting that Bryson has to record everything. So anyway, I really don't have any questions. This is, to me, similar to the case of the woman who was doing karaoke for, decades and never had a license for it. But she actually was, I think she got a fine, and I think we waived it in lieu of her not requiring us to sing. But anyway, I don't have any other questions.
No, thank you for the agency for actually, encouraging you to do this versus giving you a fine. And thank you for taking the initiative to do this and do it quickly and effectively, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for working with the community as well.
Thank
and I
you.
have nothing further.
So based on everything that you have presented this morning and your long history of successful operation, I would vote to approve the addition of the live entertainment license.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we'll do our best, always.
Well, I have to hear.
Yeah, I, without reservation, join in approving the request to add live entertainment and coming into the light.
Exactly.
And I concur as well.
And it shows that your inspectors are doing their jobs, and that's something that
Well, thank you.
we need to
Thank
highlight.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, good
very
luck.
much.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. And next time he's in town, I'll tell Steve to contact you.
Yeah, I mean, really, where was
He
the
gave me his
invite?
personal number, so he said he'd call when he comes back.
That's a wonderful thing. It really is. It just shows the fun side of Baltimore.
Yes, keep live music
Yeah,
going.
we've got a lot of good things going on, I think. And I'm so glad that Michael Phelps is back in Baltimore. And
Sure, he'll be in soon too.
yeah,
Thank you.
good.
Congratulations.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
We're off the record.
David's.
Mr. Page?
David Morgan, 3626A Falls Road, Inc. Trading as David's Restaurant, 3626A Falls Road.
Hello.
This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under the provisions of Article 2B, Section 10-504D3. Please come forward and raise your right hand.
Gentlemen, will you raise your hands, please, and be sworn?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And your names each?
It's Will Bauer, B-A-U-E-R, a friend of Dave Morgan's.
Okay. And you're Mr. Morgan?
My name's David Morgan.
Okay. And Mr. Morgan, you had you had written a request for the hardship, and if I could read it, it was my understanding that you're going to have to relocate. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that the period of that you're under now will expire next month on the 8th, and you're asking for additional time in order to relocate the facility? Okay. And how much time?
6 months, possibly.
180 days. And is that authorized, Mr. Page?
That is authorized, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And do you have any idea of where you might be going?
It's going to be in the Hamden area where the license is issued right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have like three locations I'm contemplating.
Uh-huh.
I haven't decided which one yet. It's up to the landlord which one I choose.
Okay. And how long were you in operation at Falls Road?
Not long, like 3 years, 2.5 years before I was put out because of new ownership, and he found out a little flaw in the 12-year lease I had. I was planning to work in there and leaving the place to my 2 children. And it would have pushed me up around to about, I'd have been 87, the 12 years. But I'm still working now. I'm 75 years old. I like to work, and I like to be. I've been around food and bar for 54 years, so I like the business, and I like handling. I know a lot of people. I don't know the new people moving in, but the old people are still there, my friends.
And is there anyone to assist you in the management of the place?
My son, he's here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
He's sitting back there.
Okay. Do commissioners have questions?
I don't. I guess the one question that I had when I was looking at this was just when did David's restaurant close or cease operating?
I think it was longer up March, April this year.
Okay. So you had the initial 180 days, and that's about to expire. And
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, as I understand it, this is authorized by what was Section 10-504 D2 Part 3, which I don't know what that is under the new
That's correct,
new
Commissioner.
rules. So, this is something that you're in almost entitled to as a matter of law. So,
That's good.
and I did some calculations. It looks like, but it doesn't matter. That's it. Those are all the questions I have.
I think Commissioner was right. I mean, you're entitled to this as a matter of law. My only concern is that you identify a place as soon as possible, especially assuming it's not an existing restaurant, right? Because if it's not an existing restaurant that's turnkey, as I understand it, then you need to get inspectors out, and
Yes.
it's going to further delay when you come back. So that would be the only caution I would raise if I understand the statute. So I would just encourage you to make the process move as quickly as possible, so you're not back here in front of us seeking another delay.
And Mr. Morgan has all his restaurant equipment and storage ready to go for whatever location it ends up being.
Okay. So
I just want to mention something. I put my life savings into this restaurant. I put like $500,000 into it, and to have after 2.5 years be kicked in the butt out by a new owner, and he has another bar down on Light Street, and he's kind of treated me kind of bad, but he got his lawyer, took me to court, and I was out. And
I'm
there's
sorry.
nothing I can do. That I was done.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I just want to make sure that down the road that you.
Oh, I know all
making
about.
sure.
I
That's
have
all
to have inspectors in there. You can't just open any place without inspectors. I understand all that. I've been doing it for 20 years.
All right, Mr. Morgan, based on what you have presented in the application for the additional hardship extension, which will take you, I think, till March of next year, I would vote to grant the extension.
I thank you very much.
And I would agree. The calculation that I did suggests that this extension would expire March 9, 2017. And you want to do your own math and do your own calendaring just to make sure that that's accurate. But I do support the 180-day extension.
I appreciate that.
And I concur.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
Hope
Thank you
you're
very
able
much.
to find a place soon.
Take that over to him.
Do we have a violation on the docket this morning?
The Estenko was postponed.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing we didn't
We have to come back to the remands.
presumed, but we didn't say what is the hardship.
Yeah.
I mean, the hardship.
What was they
is-
was forced out of
kicked
it?
out,
Yeah,
was forced
that's
out.
what he said. Gotta do the remands and then we're done.
Yeah, I think just a
We're gonna take a 2-minute recess.
Okay.
Doug, wait.
We're gonna call him on the record. So Larry, can you step forward, please? In recognition of your dedication to the Liquor Board of Baltimore City, we have a little memento for you.
No, this is a shock.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much.
We couldn't help notice that you're here far more regular than any and all of the commissioners and the staff. So we thought we would sort of unofficial member of honorary member of.
This is fantastic.
Sorry we don't have caps, but
That's fine.
Well, in about 5 more years, we'll have a cap for you.
You are the Cal Ripken of the Liquor Commission.
Yeah.
Longevity or something.
Yeah.
And none of us have earned those shirts, so I want you to know.
Right. We don't have them yet, so. But yeah, I mean, you've seen a lot. You've observed.
That's interesting. I've been before 4 boards in a very short period of time, really.
Well,
A long tenure around here.
Each one has been fine, and different personalities, but each one is, to me, has been very functional and decent people, very decent people, and
Thanks.
do
thank
the best
you.
can.
Thank you. Well, wear your shirt in good health.
Well, I definitely will.
Don't let Ms. Witt or Mr. Kadensky see it, though, because
I know one day Melvin was going to get an award. I don't know exactly what it's going to be.
we're going to give Melvin a shirt, but it won't say
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
and we are ready to go. Our camera has moved. Yes. So if you will call the cases when you can, Mr.
I'm just
Akers.
waiting for Bryson.
Oh, I'm ready, sorry.
This is the third portion of the docket, the remand and transcript and evidentiary review items. Calling Shelley Gordon and Dolores Riker, Silverlud Incorporated, trading as Circus Bar, 427 East Baltimore Street. The board will be reviewing 2 counts of violation of 4.17 sexual practices and obscenity, and a violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 9 codes compliance. And I'll wait. Do you want me to call them both at the same time?
Yeah, let's call them both.
Excuse me.
We'll call the second case as well. Calling the second case, Ernest Hatmaker and Bradley Simmons, Shea Joey LLC, trading as Shea Joey, 415 East Baltimore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license. It's also an adult entertainment license. If I didn't mention it earlier, the prior license was a BD7 and adult entertainment license. The board will be reviewing the transcript and evidentiary items for Rule 4.17, sexual practices and obscenity, and violation of Adult Entertainment Rule 9, codes compliance.
Yes.
Just briefly, for the record on both of them, first of all, it's only one of the matters went up on appeal. No adult entertainment went up on appeal.
That's I was going to correct that.
Okay, and secondly, just for the record, since this is
Can you
a
just
new-
identify yourself for the record
For the
first?
record, Melvin J. Kadensky, 19 East Fair Street. Since this is a new procedure, we would object to the validity of being able to go forward on this basis. There's no opportunity to observe the witnesses, I understand what the board is going for, but just to protect the record for that purpose is in light of the most recent case, the Kugel case, concerning the same issue that you're in front of right now.
Thank you. Okay, so both of these cases were called before the Board of Liquor License Commissioners on September 24, 2015, at which time the board heard testimony, and Mr. Konensky was here representing his clients, and in each case there was a finding of a violation of Rule 4.17 dealing with a sexual solicitation which had occurred, the board believed, in each of these facilities. And in the case of the Circus Bar, there was a $1,000 fine imposed and a 3-day suspension. And in the case of the Chez Joey, there was a $500 fine and a 3-day suspension imposed. The cases were appealed to the Circuit Court for Baltimore City, and that court issued an order on February 10, 2016, remanding the cases to the board because it believed that the board had failed to make requisite findings of fact that would support the violations. In the interim, there was a change in the composition of the board, and we instructed our counsel, Ms. Pinderhughes, to file a motion to clarify with the Circuit Court how it wished us to proceed, given that we were unable to know exactly what went through the heads of the prior board when they made the violations in order to enable us to make factual findings. Regrettably, that motion was not timely, and there was a motion to strike filed on behalf of the licensees, which was granted on June 30, 2016 by the Circuit Court. In those orders, Judge Geller appended a footnote in which he took note of the unusual procedural posture of the cases and suggested that if the board was not going to be required to make credibility determinations, that it could function as an appellate court might and proceed by reviewing the transcripts of the proceedings before the prior board to determine whether there was substantial evidence in those records to support the violations that were found by the liquor board. So we took that directive from the Circuit Court for Baltimore City, and each of the commissioners has been provided with copies of those transcripts, and we have reviewed them. So I'm going to speak only for myself at the moment. I reviewed the record, and speaking of the Circus Bar case, and found that there was testimony by Detective Gatto which related the solicitation and the arrangements that were made both with the young woman at the bar and with the bartender at the bar. And I believe that if the prior board believed this testimony, it created sufficient substantial evidence in the record to support the finding of a violation of 4.17. And if that were the only issue before the board, I would affirm the finding in that case. In the Chez Joey case, I know that there was testimony from Detective Jackson about a solicitation which occurred in that facility. And again, if the board believed his testimony, it would create substantial and sufficient evidence in the record to support a finding of a violation of Rule 4.17. So if that were the only issue before this board, I would affirm that violation. But in the interim, to make the procedural posture even more challenging and interesting, the Court of Special Appeals of Maryland issued a decision in the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City versus Stephen Kugel. And in that case, the Court of Special Appeals determined that the interpretation of the statutory requirement for the in order to hold the licensee responsible, and this is the rule itself, 4.17, which says that no licensee shall permit or suffer his premises to be used for the purpose of any sexual activity, nor shall any licensee permit or suffer any employee, patron, or frequenter to solicit any person for prostitution or other immoral purposes, and it goes on. Judge Woodward, writing for the court, said that that required actual or constructive notice on the part of the licensee in order for them to be held responsible for that particular activity. So that poses the question to the current board as to whether or not the Kugel decision should be applied retroactively to the cases that are before it on remand. There's case law, of course, with respect to retroactivity that dates back to the 1960s. The first case I'm familiar with was Linkletter versus Walker, which was a landmark case from the Supreme Court at 381 U.S. 618 in 1965, followed by Teague versus Lane in 1989, 489 U.S. 288. And in Maryland, the principles of Linkletter and Teague are set forth most prominently in Owens, Illinois, Inc. versus Zenobia, 325 Maryland 420. Once a substantial change in the law occurs affecting the fundamental rights of parties, the courts have three considerations that they must take into mind: the purpose of the new rule, the parties' reliance on the old rule, and the effect on the administration of justice. In my view here, the purpose of the change that has been created, where strict liability is no longer permitted as an interpretation of our rule, but we must have evidence in the record to support actual or constructive knowledge on the part of the licensee, is to shield innocent licensees from charges of which they're not made aware. The reliance is that the agency has relied on the strict liability standard for many years, but I must note that in each of these cases, and specifically in the transcripts that I reviewed, in the Circus Bar case transcript at page 38, in the Shea Joey case transcript at page 23, Mr. Kadensky made the Kugel argument on the record that his clients should not be held responsible because there was not evidence presented of actual or constructive notice. Finally, I think it would be fundamentally unfair to affirm violations in the absence of any proof of actual or constructive knowledge after the Kugel decision came down. So here, we have a higher proof standard that's been established. We have an express objection on the record in each case that standard was not met, and this is actually a sea change in the board's policy with respect to investigating and charging violations of Rule 4.17. Applying all of this, I would apply the Kugel standard retroactively to the cases before us and vacate the violations. And I would note that I believe in the Shea Joey case, there was no evidence whatsoever of anyone other than this woman who I believe was called Disney interacting with the officer. In the Circus Bar case, there were two individuals involved. And when I first read the transcript, because it was not just the young woman at the bar, but also the bartender, I had assumed that she had a managerial role. But when I went back and reviewed the transcript carefully, there's no evidence presented that she was in a managerial position. So there's no constructive knowledge as far as I'm concerned, and I would vacate the violations.
Okay. So, do you want to go? No. So, I was one of the attorneys that tried the Owens, Illinois versus Zenobia case, and I worked on the appeal of that decision, and so certainly totally agree with the application of Kugel to the cases that we have here. With respect to the Circus Bar case, I had some confusion as to the role of the bartender, because I think in the charging documents from the agency, she's referred to as the bar manager. And I, too, went back and read that testimony not once, not twice, but several times to find out exactly what was the responsibility of the bartender in the Circus Bar case, and there is nothing that suggests that she was a manager. I would say, just as parenthetically, as a footnote, that if she, in fact, were having managerial responsibility, I think there would have been sufficient evidence to hold the violation in place. But that is not the case. Those are not the facts that we were presented with. That is not the record that was presented. So with respect to the Circus Bar case, I join in the decision of the chairman, and won't seek to add anything that I think he's very eloquently stated where we are. With respect to Shea Joey, I felt that the evidence was even less than what there was with respect to the circus case. There was very thin evidence of, let me make a correction, there was no evidence of any managerial involvement whatsoever. In fact, there was, it seemed to be that there was an arrangement made between the undercover detective and Ms. Disney, and one can certainly question what actually happened there, because there was a lack of prosecution, there was a lack of any record of any follow-up. So for those reasons, in addition to, and joining in what the chairman has stated, I concur that there be no finding of, that the violations be vacated in the Shea Joey case as well.
Let me just add something before I turn it over to Commissioner Greenfield. I looked at the testimony that Mr. Konensky had his clients present in each of these cases, and particularly in the Circus Bar case where Ms. Riker and Mr. Gordon testified with respect to when they were put on notice of the violation, and it was not until I think several days later they were not present. Actually, in that case, I think when court papers were served upon them, and in the other case, the owner, Mr. Hatmaker, said that he learned it several days later. So there was affirmative evidence presented of a lack of knowledge, either actual or constructive, in those cases, which supported my finding.
I, too, join my colleagues in both cases. The Circus Bar case in particular, we'll start with that. As my colleagues have stated, I, too, went back to the transcript to determine if the bartender had any managerial role. It was not clear to me. There clearly wasn't a burden that wasn't met if she was. And so in that regard, I, too, would vacate that decision. With respect to the Shea Joey, as Commissioner Moore cited, there's even less evidence. In fact, Detective Fletcher agreed on page 13 of the transcript that he didn't tell the licensee or owner of any action solicitation occurring. And then to take it even further, Ms. Stewart testified that she was on duty that night, and no one came to her and told her that anything occurred in light of the violation. So for those reasons, I too join my colleagues in vacating.
So, Mr. Konensky, unless you would like to wrest defeat from the jaws of victory, I think we're concluded.
The only thing that I would add, was it hot out? And second of all, does the board have the sites on Google? I mean, I just got them this morning.
You may put them in the record. I didn't have them in my copy.
Oops, I'm
Let me
sorry.
just, for the record, indicate that
Maryland app in the A3rd.
it's the Kugel versus Board of Liquor License Commissioners is 228 Maryland Appellate 314, and it was decided June 2, 2016. Thank you.
All right, okay.
And I know that the clients for Shea Joey are not here, and that's probably because we've had a little bouncing ball with our schedule today, and that was something that happened on our side of the bench, not your side. We had a couple schedules that were sent out and decided to collapse them so that we could just keep rolling,
I
which
think
is,
in light of the circumstances, they will not want a re-hearing.
I should think that they would be okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
That will conclude our docket.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Used to say in the old days, the SK highs are Fells Point, the SKYs are Park Heights.
It's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, we'll get it to you. We'll probably get a holster and we'll give it to you next week.